What is up? Welcome to another live in this Sober Toolbox series. If you're in the Motivation to Quit Alcohol group, you got access to this in the guide section. If you are not in part of that group, you should be part of the group. There is over 35,000 people in there looking to live an alcohol-free lifestyle, motivating each other, and really inspiring each other to change. So that's a great group on Facebook to join us there. I am Aaron, the Sober Life Coach. I'm a coach, author, and I've been sober for the past 7 years. I did it without AA or rehab. And I also was able to do that without shame or rock bottom. And what I did was mix personal development and my alcohol free lifestyle and a mix of things I was learning together because I didn't actually correlate those two things. But once I did, once I was able to use the things I was learning personal development and mix them with my alcohol free lifestyle, everything changed. And I had to create my own path at the time. But now I want to share that path with you. And these are the same things that I used to reset my life 7 years ago, and I'm hoping that you guys will learn from this and be able to reset your life and live an alcohol-free lifestyle for good and make sobriety stick once and for all in your life. So today we're going to be talking about why your environment beats willpower every single time. So let's get into this because this is a super good topic, and it's one of those topics that people don't really think about or talk about. It's one of those kind of unheard things in the recovery space is your environment, right? A lot of people say, well, you just need to get rid of alcohol out of your house. Cool, that's one part of it, but there are other things in your environment. Those are those kind of secret triggers we talk about in the Dare to Be Sober challenge and the Dare to Be Sober book that we talk about that can pull you back into living with alcohol and having alcohol as a solution. So today we're going to be talking about that because if alcohol is in your house, your willpower is already lost, right? If you keep alcohol in your house, your willpower is always gone. If you're keeping beer on the counter, if you're keeping wine on the table, if you're keeping those kinds of things, then you're already lost because you have that in your environment. It's visible, you can see it, and it's going to trigger you, right? So it seems kind of obvious, but sometimes we don't think of that way. Sometimes it's comforting to have that bottle of wine there or that beer on the counter, right? But we really need to look at that. And of course, if you can't go more than 1 2 hours of drink, you're getting shake tremors, those kinds of things. Maybe it's not feasible for you right now to, if you're physically dependent on alcohol, to take the alcohol out of your house. But if it's safe to do so, then you should remove that out of your sight at least, so that you don't have to look at it or you don't have to be around it. It's not triggering you there. There's other things in your environment we're going to talk about too. So why does environment beat willpower every time? Because most people stay stuck because they don't realize that willpower fades. Your habits run on autopilot, and your sober identity actually runs automatic action once you get there. Once you have a sober identity, once you become that sober 2.0 version of you, that's going to be the automatic action. But right now, your willpower, it's fading, and your habits are running on autopilot. We talk a lot about reacting and responding, right? If you're reacting to life, if you're reacting to the things in your environment, then you're just going to, continue doing those things on autopilot. But if you start responding, you start seeing them, start becoming aware where they're there, then you're going to be able to break that habit loop, and you'll be able to get into that sober identity, and your sober identity will be the automatic action that you're looking for. So there's an invisible force in your environment, and it's something that people don't really talk about. Your environment's so important to habit change. If you have a messy room, if you have alcohol in the house, if you have these things that come with alcohol sometimes, because I know for me, I was not a clean person, I was not an organized person when I was drinking, and that probably set me off into a really a tailspin when it came to alcohol, and I didn't see it at the time, but now I can see it, right? Hindsight is 2020. I can see that my environment was super important to my habit of alcohol and also other habits in my life too. So your environment could have triggers to craving that trigger cravings automatically. Your environment shapes your behavior faster than your motivation, right? So if you have all these cues and triggers to your past life, to the old things in your life, to the way you used to act when you were drunk, then you're going to continue to act that way because it's a unconscious, subconscious trigger that's going to be setting you off in this habit loop, right? And your habit really does shape your behavior faster than motivation. I talk about this too, that motivation fades. You're not always going to be motivated. You don't always want to get out of bed. Some days I don't want to get out of bed, but I get out of bed and I have these habits in place so that I can get to where I want to go and I can do the things I want to do without relying on motivation, right? Because that motivation is not always going to be there. Sometimes you gotta force yourself to do things. Sometimes you have to have these automatic autopilot habits, these good autopilot habits that are going to drive you forward instead of pull you back. So Example of this could be liquor on the shelf. You're craving, a loop starts. If you have obvious, it seems kind of obvious to some people, but some people it's not going to be that obvious. Maybe you're not aware of this, these triggers in your environment. Maybe someone in your house still drinks, right? If they still drink, ask them to put the liquor in a cabinet or something. Put it away so you can't see it, because that's how those craving loops are going to start for you. So, common environmental triggers could be the fridge, right, where you keep the beer, the liquor cabinet, right? Friends who enable you, your evening setup, your couch, Netflix, usual drink. That was my thing, right? We'd have a little tray. We put our alcohol on. We would sit down, me and my wife, and we would drink. And that tray became a trigger for me. So, all these things are kind of secretly in your environment. Some of them are easy to spot, like having alcohol in your house, but some are a little bit different. The chair you sit in can be an environmental trigger. Like I said, the drinking tray you have, the coffee table that you usually drink at. Maybe it's a certain thing in your environment that you don't even see. So it's really important to kind of look around and see what kind of environmental triggers you have, because it's going to be important for habit change. Environment change equals habit a shortcut. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems, right? Remove the key, remove the craving. So your environment change is a habit shortcut, and shortcuts are awesome, right? And not all things in life have shortcuts. Some things, you're gonna have to work and you're gonna put effort into, but some things you can shortcut things a little bit. You can make things a little bit easier, and environmental change is one of those things. So environmental change is super important, and understanding the invisible triggers in your environment is going to help you a lot. So your mission today is set one environmental boundary. Remove alcohol from your house if it's safe to do so. Change your 5 p.m. routine location, right? If you're always going to the couch, maybe go to a separate room, or maybe go to a different chair, or maybe go to a different part of the house. One of those things is going to break that habit loop, and then you're going to become aware of it, and that's where the real changes, right? Tell one friend your new boundary, right? Tell someone in your life that you have this new boundary, right? That your environmental boundary that you're going to try and do, and make sure it's someone supportive, but tell a friend, because that connection and that accountability really helps as well. So, and drop what your environmental boundary is going to be today in the comments. Lock it in. Let's get there. Let's say if your environmental boundary is, I'm going to change my 5 p.m. routine location, right? The location I'm sitting in, I'm going to change to a different chair. I'm going to go to a different room. That's awesome. Let's hear about it. If you say your alcohol environmental boundary is removing alcohol from the house, let's hear about it. I want to hear about these things, because I want to be able to help you guys move forward and get beyond living in this shame guilt cycle of alcohol, because I know how crappy that is, and I really want to help you guys get through it. So a real world example of this would be, I removed alcohol from the house. I changed my driver at home. This is one of the things I had to do. I set up morning journal instead of evening drinking, right? You set up a journal. You set up a journal in the morning so that you can be aware of your thoughts. That's an environmental trigger, right? Instead of evening drinking, you changed the habit. You change the room, you change the environment. You change something in your environment, right? And identity and when your identity and environment are aligned to your goals, that's when the real change is going to happen. That's when the real habit change is going to happen. So your environment is super important, and sometimes we don't understand these triggers that we have in our lives, and that's really why I like to talk about these invisible triggers, these things that we don't see, because it's easy to spot the obvious ones, but sometimes it's a little bit harder to spot the other things, like maybe a chair or a certain tray that you use for drinks, or a certain glass. Maybe all these things can be triggers to set up the craving. So your 5 p.m. sober playbook today is that we're going to use the dare to be sober method, right? The dare to be sober framework, and we're going to have a dare reflection here. So disrupt the thought. What's one environment trigger pulling you back? What's one thing in your environment that's going to pull you back? This is going to disrupt that habit loop, and this is going to really help you understand why you're having some of these triggers still, even if you've done a bunch of other things. Maybe there's some hidden things there, right? So disrupt the thought. What's one environmental trigger pulling you back? And then you're going to ask yourself, how does my environment reflect who I want to become? How is this environment reflecting? If it's messy, if it's still got alcohol there, if it's still exactly the same, maybe you need to change that. Maybe you need to clean up a little bit. Maybe you need to do whatever you need to do to change that environment. Is it reflecting who you want to be? If you want to be an organized person that can carry on and do things, maybe your environment needs to get a little bit organized. Whatever that is for you, how does your environment reflect who you're becoming, right? Let's reframe that. It's not about willpower. It's about setup. It's about setting up these habits, setting up your sobriety and your alcohol-free lifestyle for success. If you don't set it up for success, you're never going to get where you want to go, right? If you don't remove the trigger of alcohol being visible, then you're not going to be able to get where you want to go. So, and then set one boundary today, right? Set one environmental boundary. Set one change in your environment. What is that one trigger that you have that you didn't see, or maybe you did see? Are you going to remove that trigger today? Are you going to put it in a different spot? Are you going to set that up so that you don't have to react to it? You can respond to it later on and make things a little bit easier for yourself. So that's the DARE method: disrupt, ask, reframe, and execute. And also, I'd just like to tell you a little bit about the four laws of habit change from Atomic Habits. If you haven't read Atomic Habits, it's a great book. A lot of people use it in their alcohol-free lifestyle. I know I used it for sure to do a lot of great things, and it's a really great book. And there's four laws to this, right? So number one is make it invisible, right? So it's the opposite of making it obvious, right? So make it invisible in your environment. Take those triggers out of there if you can. If you can figure out what they are, remove those triggers, right? Make it unattractive, right? Make it something that you don't want to do. Make it something that's part of reframing your mindset and things. Is seeing alcohol as something unattractive. It's not a solution, right? Make it difficult, right? Increase the friction between you and a drink, right? If you usually get up and go to the liquor store, put your keys somewhere where you can't just walk up and get them, right? Those kinds of things are going to help you, and make it unsatisfying. Ensure that the reward you get from alcohol is not fulfilling or even unpleasant. If you habitually drink, then maybe you want to see that as being unpleasant, not a solution. It's not something that you want to do, right? And see the immediate impact of that. Start thinking about these costs of alcohol. Start thinking about your environment. Start thinking about how this is going to affect not only you but the other people in your life. Those are the things that we kind of want to talk about. So make it invisible, make it unattractive, make it difficult, and make it unsatisfying, and that will really, really help you guys move forward with this. So anyways, guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope that it helped. I hope that you're starting to see some of these hidden triggers, these invisible triggers in your life, and start removing those and realize that environment so important when it comes to living an alcohol-free lifestyle. So if you're sick of piecing these videos together, get a proven plan that's already helped hundreds of other career-driven parents and high performers. You don't need clarity. You don't need to try harder. You just need identity and clarity. And that's what the Kickstart Coach helps you build. 7-day Kickstart system. You get daily audio lessons. You get the Dare to Be Sober identity coaching. Excuse me. Get 7 short videos to shift your mindset. You'll get 24/7 support with the Kickstart GPT. That's an AI powered sober co-pilot that's there 24/7. It's based on the Kickstart Your Comeback book and my coaching. And so it's kind of like having me in your pocket 24/7. So that's awesome. And you get workbooks, quick workbooks that help you win the day. And you also get a free PDF copy of my first book, Kickstart Your Comeback. So anyways, guys, thank you so much. Join the Kickstart Coach if you want more from me, or continue watching these videos. And I'll have these every single day for you guys to, reset, rewire, and reclaim your life from alcohol and live a sober life. So thank you so much for letting me be your coach today. Thank you so much for listening to this video. And life is so much better on the sober side. And let's dare to be sober, my friends. And let's get out there, live an alcohol-free lifestyle. Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys in the next video.